Another Minions movie? Oh gosh. Hello everyone and welcome to the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I am Dylan Randazzo and I am here to bring you my top 12 most anticipated movies of 2021. Some of you might be asking, Dylan, when are you going to give us your best movies of last year, of 2020? The truth is, I just still haven't gotten around to seeing all the films I want to see from last year, but once I do, I promise I will bring you a video right here on the channel telling you my favorite movies of last year. But now we're looking forward to 2021. We're already in 2021 and these movies are approaching rapidly. There are so many movies from last year that were pushed to this year. There are so many movies that were already slated for 2021 that are staying in 2021. So we have so many different movies to talk about. Rather than talking about all the movies all at once, I decided to go month by month and give you my most anticipated movie of every month, and of course some honorable mentions along the way as well. At the end, I will take those movies and then compile a master list ranking them by anticipation, and I will tell you what my most anticipated movie of 2021 is at the end of that ranking. Because January and February are so loaded with movies from last year and Oscar season movies for the 2020 Oscar season, I will be jumping right to the month of March to start because that's really when the big 2021 releases do come. But I do want to mention for January and February some movies that I'm excited to see from last year: Minari, The Father, other Oscar hopefuls that are coming out in 2021 but still technically part of the 2020 slate: Malcolm and Marie, Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm excited for all these movies, but for the purposes of these lists, because they will qualify for the 2020 Oscars, I've decided to move right to March and start from there. Starting with March, we have some great releases, some honorable mentions. On March 5th, we will be getting Coming to America, the sequel to the Eddie Murphy comedy classic. We will be getting Raya and the Last Dragon, which is a Disney animated film. On the 12th of March, we will be getting The King's Man, which is a prequel to the Kingsman films. But my most anticipated film for March is, on March 26th, Godzilla vs. Kong. So Godzilla vs. Kong will be directed by Adam Wingard. He's known for some horror films like The Guest, You're Next, Blair Witch, Death Note, all movies that I have seen that aren't really huge juggernaut blockbusters. So it's really going to be interesting to see him approach a huge blockbuster as much as Godzilla vs. Kong. It stars Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Kyle Chandler, Damian Bashir, and Eliza Gonzalez, just to name a few. And of course, we have the two titans themselves, Godzilla and Kong. I just can't wait to see this unfold on screen. I think this is going to be one of the biggest spectacles of the year, just the effects and the giant monsters themselves. It'll be really, really exciting to see them come to life on screen and fight each other. I am very, very excited for that movie. So moving on to April, we have No Time to Die, which was originally supposed to be slated in April, but is likely to move to October. That has not been confirmed, so for those purposes, I will leave that off. Peter Rabbit 2. The first one was pretty cute. It spawned some blueberry controversy, but I'm excited for Peter Rabbit 2. April 16th, that's the day before my birthday, we're getting a new Mortal Kombat film. On the 23rd, we get A Quiet Place Part 2. Nearly a year later from its original release date in April of 2020, we will be getting A Quiet Place Part 2, and I'm excited for that. But my most anticipated movie of April is also coming on the 23rd, and that is Last Night in Soho. For those who don't know Edgar Wright, he is one of my favorite directors. He will be directing this film. He is famous for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Baby Driver, and the Cornetto trilogy. That is Shaun of the Dead, that is Hot Fuzz, that is The World's End. The interesting thing about Edgar Wright is that all his movies are so different, but have the very similar style and unique method of filmmaking. But he also finds really niche ways to explore different genres. Shaun of the Dead, you get some horror comedy. Hot Fuzz is a buddy cop movie. Baby Driver is a really clean action film. So we're getting lots of different genres from Edgar Wright, and this is a psychological horror. I'm really excited to see him dive into something like this. Paul Mackless is returning as the editor, who has edited a lot of Edgar Wright's other films. Edgar Wright's films have such a live energy to them, is because of the editing. The editing is so crisp, and I can't wait to see what Paul Mackless brings as an editor to this film as well. Some of the cast: Anya Taylor-Joy, Thomasin McKenzie, who you might recognize from Jojo Rabbit, Matt Smith from The Crown, Terrence Stamp, who, if you're from my generation, you know as the old man in the Haunted Mansion film, Diana Rigg, Lady Olenna herself. I'm pretty sure this is her last film appearance as she sadly passed away in 2020, so it'll be great to honor her memory as well. I'm really excited about this film. I don't know much about it, but Edgar Wright is one of my absolute favorite directors, and I cannot wait to see what he brings. For May, we have a huge juggernaut with Black Widow coming out on the 7th. We also, on the 21st, have Free Guy, a new Ryan Reynolds action comedy, and on the 28th, we have Emma Stone as Cruella de Vil in the live-action Disney remake Cruella. But my most anticipated movie for May also comes on the 21st, and that is Spiral. So this is the 9th installment of the Saw franchise, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who directed some of the other Saw films. It stars Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson, and this is probably where most of the hype comes from for me. It'll be really exciting to see Chris Rock dive into something darker. Rock was the one who approached Lionsgate telling them he really wanted to help make this movie come to life, and I have not seen the other Saw films, but I wanted to include some horror in my most anticipated list, and this seems really, really promising as maybe a way to really revitalize and rejuvenate the franchise. In June, on the 4th, we have The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. On the 11th, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife. On 18th, we get Luca, which is a new Pixar film. On the 25th, we have the sequel to Venom, Let There Be Carnage. But my most anticipated movie for June comes on the 18th, and that is In the Heights. This was one of my most anticipated movies of last year before it got pushed to this year. In the Heights is directed by John M. Chu, who directed some of the Step Up films and Crazy Rich Asians. It stars Anthony Ramos, who you might recognize from Star is Born or most famously Hamilton, Leslie Grace, Corey Hawkins, and Lin-Manuel Miranda himself. He wrote the musical, which won a ton of Tonys when it was out on Broadway. I love the musical. I love the story. It's about a man who works at a bodega who saves every penny from his daily grind as he hopes, imagines, and sings about a better life. I love movie musicals. I grew up on musicals. You know there's going to be so much vibrancy in the colors and the direction and the choreography and the singing and the performances, and I am just so excited for In the Heights. For July, we have lots of July releases. On the 2nd, we have Top Gun Maverick. We also have The Minions, The Rise of Gru, but I can't say I'm very excited for another Minions movie. On the 9th, we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is another Marvel Cinematic Universe film. On 16th, we have Space Jam, A New Legacy, starring LeBron James. On the 23rd, we have Old, the new film by M. Night Shyamalan. On the 30th, we have Jungle Cruise, and my most anticipated movie for July, The Green Knight. It is an A24 film. A24 is one of my favorite studios. It is a medieval fantasy film. Usually I don't really go for medieval films, but this one looks super fascinating. It is about King Arthur's nephew, played by Dev Patel, and he embarks on a quest to confront the Green Knight, who is a gigantic, green-skinned stranger. Speaking of gigantic and green, the director David Lowery directed Pete's Dragon a few years ago, and that was one of my favorite Disney remakes. Pete's Dragon was an awesome movie, and I cannot wait to see what David Lowery brings to this film because I really don't know a ton about it. One of the other appeals of this movie is Alicia Vikander. She is my favorite actress. I love Alicia Vikander, and I cannot wait to see her in this film as well. For August, on the 13th, we have Respect, which is the Aretha Franklin biopic. We have Don't Breathe 2, a sequel to one of my favorite horror films from 2016, Don't Breathe. And we have a film starring Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas, Deep Water, which should be very interesting considering the recent news of their breakup. So we'll see how that works. On the 27th, we have Candyman and a Peter Jackson documentary, The Beatles Get Back. But my most anticipated movie for August is The Suicide Squad. Now, the first Suicide Squad I really did not like, but with James Gunn at the helm, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it's going to be a hit. It stars Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, Peter Capaldi, Sylvester Stallone, Viola Davis, Jai Courtney, Pete Davidson, Michael Rooker, Taika Waititi, Nathan Fillion, Storm Reed. Sean Gunn even plays an anthropomorphic weasel. What a cast. This is one of the biggest casts of the year. This is one of the most promising casts of the year, and I'm really excited to see what James Gunn can bring to the DCEU to give it a little life, because some of their films have been pretty hit or miss. For September, we don't really have a ton to choose from yet in September. I'm sure we'll get some Oscar buzzy films. First, on the 17th, is Death on the Nile, the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express, starring Kenneth Branagh once again as Detective Poirot. But my most anticipated movie of September is on the 24th, and that is The Many Saints of Newark. This is a prequel to The Sopranos, which is a HBO series. It is directed by Alan Taylor, who has worked a lot in TV. His credits include, ready for this, Lost, The West Wing, 6 Feet Under, Sex and the City, Game of Thrones, Boardwalk Empire, Deadwood, Mad Men, and of course, The Sopranos. He also directed Thor: The Dark World and Terminator Genesis, but let's not mention that. As I said, this is a prequel to The Sopranos, and I'm really interested to see what they do with it because I'm not as familiar with The Sopranos as some other people are, but I do know enough about it to be excited for this genre, this style of film. I can't wait to see especially Michael Gandolfini playing the role his father made famous, Tony Soprano. That's right, the late James Gandolfini is unfortunately no longer with us, but his son is stepping into those shoes. Other cast members, Alessandro Nivola, Leslie Odom Jr., John Bernthal, Ray Liotta, Billy Magnuson, Vera Farmiga, Corey Stoll, lots of great stars that I cannot wait to see in The Many Saints of Newark. And being a Jersey boy, how can I not like a movie about Jersey? In October, we have on the 8th, Morbius, which is a Marvel film in the same universe as Venom that will be coming to theaters. On the 15th, we have Halloween Kills, which is a sequel to the sequel of Halloween, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. We also have The Last Duel, which is a Ridley Scott film starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, the famous duo, and Adam Driver. But my most anticipated for October comes on the 1st, and that is Dune. I have been waiting for Dune for so long now. It is directed by Denis Villeneuve, who is one of my favorite new directors that has been working the past decade. He has directed Arrival, Enemy, Prisoners, Sicario, and my favorite, Blade Runner 2049. This cast is also stacked. We have Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Javier Bardem, and of course so many more. The music is by Hans Zimmer. It is based on the book set in the near future, but I don't really know a ton about it except that it takes place on a dangerous desert planet. But the thing is, I don't want to know a lot about it because I love going into Denis Villeneuve's movies blind. I love this cast. I love Denis Villeneuve. I love the trailer. I just want to see Dune right away. In November, on the 5th, we have another Marvel film, Eternals. On the 24th, Encanto, which is a Lin-Manuel Miranda musically written Disney musical. We have Gucci, which is another Ridley Scott film starring Adam Driver once again, with Lady Gaga and Al Pacino, amongst other stars. But my most anticipated movie of November comes on the 19th, and that is Mission Impossible 7. Now, Mission Impossible is a franchise I've always liked, but once Fallout came out, I just became an instant super fan of Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible Fallout is one of the best modern action films, one of my favorites of all time. So to see the follow-up, I have no doubt that Christopher McQuarrie, the director of the previous 2 Mission Impossible films, will up the action to another degree. I cannot wait to see what's up their sleeves next. In December, we have West Side Story coming on December 10th, directed by Steven Spielberg. There has been some negative press over one of its lead actors, but the rest of the cast is very promising, and I just love that story. I love Steven Spielberg. On the 22nd, we have The Matrix 4 and Sing 2. But my most anticipated movie, I have to put one Marvel Cinematic Universe film on the list, and it's got to be this one. On the 17th, Spider-Man 3. That is the name that everyone's calling it because there is no title yet for that film. Comes out December 17th. It is supposedly set around Christmas, directed by John Watts, who directed the past 2 Spider-Man films, and, as we know from rumors, we may see some past Spider-Man cast members like Jamie Foxx as Electro, Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. We might see other characters from the MCU like Doctor Strange. This is going to be a bloated movie if all these cameos and supporting roles are true, but considering how well they managed to pull off Infinity War and Endgame, I have no doubt that Marvel will be able to pull this one off as well. And we saw Into the Spider-Verse. We love seeing all these different worlds mingling, and especially with WandaVision and a lot of other movies that are set to come out later down the line in Marvel. I think they're going to do a lot of experimentation with time and different universes coming together, and for that reason, I'm very excited to see what Spider-Man 3 is going to deliver. So those are just 10 films. I decided to go through a list of movies that don't really have a set date yet. We have Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe biopic starring Ana de Armas. We have Tick, Tick, Boom, a musical on Netflix directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. We have Antlers, a horror film that looks very good. Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch. We have Black Adam, Pinocchio, The Tragedy of Macbeth, starring Frances McDormand and Denzel Washington, directed by one of the Coen brothers, Joel Coen. we have Soggy Bottom, which is the new P.T. Anderson movie starring Bradley Cooper. But I'm going to put two of these movies on my actual list, and one of those is Nightmare Alley. It is Guillermo del Toro's new film, which is a psychological thriller. This stars Bradley Cooper, Cate Blanchett, Richard Jenkins, Ron Perlman, Rooney Mara, David Strathairn, and, again, returning to the psychological horror genre, Toni Collette. Toni Collette gave one of my favorite performances in the past few years in Hereditary, and I'm excited to see her do another psychological crazy movie again. So that is one of the main reasons why I'm so excited for Nightmare Alley. The other movie I want to include on this list that has not had a decided date set for the movie is Don't Look Up. This is a new Adam McKay film. You might know Adam McKay from comedies like Anchorman and Step Brothers, or you might know him from his political serial comedies like The Big Short and Vice. But this one looks totally different from anything he's ever done before. It is about two astronomers, played by Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio, warning mankind about an asteroid that will destroy Earth. I don't really know what to expect from this movie, but wait till I rattle off the cast members in this film. This is the cast of the year, just looking at it on paper. Here we go. Jennifer Lawrence, Leonardo DiCaprio, Cate Blanchett, Rob Morgan, Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, Timothée Chalamet, Ariana Grande, Himesh Patel from Yesterday, Scott Mescudi, Tomer Sisley, Matthew Perry from Friends, Tyler Perry, Melanie Linsky, Ron Perlman, and Captain America himself, Chris Evans. So that is one of the biggest and most amazing cast announcements I've seen all year, and that had to put it on the list. So those are the 12 films that I'm most excited to see in 2021. So now it's time to rank them from 12 to 1. At number 12, I'm going to put The Many Saints of Newark. The thing is, I haven't seen all of The Sopranos, so I don't really know what to expect, but I'm excited for it nonetheless. At number 11, I'll put Spiral. Again, I have not seen the Saw films, but I needed to put a horror film on the list, and this looks like the most promising and most interesting of them all. At 10, I have Godzilla vs. Kong. I really don't know what to expect because the past few movies in this universe have been hit or miss, but I just can't wait to see these two titans on screen. At number 9, I have The Green Knight. Again, not sure what to expect, but A24 and the cast, especially Alicia Vikander and Dev Patel, is so much to have me interested and excited for this film. Number 8, I'll put The Suicide Squad. James Gunn is back in the director's chair. At number 7, we have Nightmare Alley. Guillermo del Toro is on a roll with his career right now. At number 6, we have Don't Look Up. The cast is just so loaded and stacked. I can't put it any lower than that. At number 5, we have Mission Impossible 7. I don't know many details with the plot, but I am excited just based on the hype that I have coming off of the last film. At number 4, In the Heights. I'm such a movie musical guy, I have to put it high on this list. Spider-Man 3, we'll stick it at 3, just because it could be a big jumbled up mess for all we know, but it's a mess that I cannot wait for. At number 2, Last Night in Soho. Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors working today. I cannot wait to see what he has up his sleeve next. But number 1 is Dune. I've been waiting 2 years for Dune. I've been so excited for Dune, and if there's any director that has me even more excited than Edgar Wright, it's Denis Villeneuve, director of Dune. So that's my top 12. What are your most anticipated movies of 2021? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. I really appreciate all the love and support that I've gotten after starting this channel. Make sure to check out my podcast with Kelsey Kilpatrick from Cause Productions on YouTube, titled Marvel-ous Movie Mondays, that can be found every Monday. This Monday we will be recapping WandaVision Episode 3, which drops on Disney Plus tomorrow. So I'm very excited to talk about WandaVision with Kelsey. The first episode was a lot of fun, and I hope you watch that and tune in and download it anywhere you can find podcasts. And as always, you can watch videos here on the Dill Pickle Movie Network, where I'll be bringing you new videos every week. I can't wait to review all of these movies on this list, and even all the honorable mentions that I mentioned before. Thank you so much for watching. Be nice to each other. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.